Hello everyone, and welcome to Paralives. Well, actually, to a little analysis of the just recently released gameplay, or actually should I say building mode of Paralives. They have released actually a wonderful video now of about 11 minutes of building, and I paused it right here already. Today with camera, I am really looking forward to your feedback about that, because I just want to show you a bit of my reaction and how it is all working. Now, one thing that is very important, this video shows the building mode in Paralives. Keep in mind, this game is in work in progress. We don't really know much about the gameplay as it is, but we know a lot about this game's ambition, so to say. We've seen a lot of stuff in the background have been done. We've seen a couple of videos about the peeps, we've seen a couple of videos about the interior and stuff like that. And in this video, we finally get to see the building mode, and oh boy, is this bold. This is some very chunky good stuff. And we're going to skip forward a little bit. I'm not going to play the full video, so in case you want to see the full video, make sure that you check out the full video. I'll link it down below in the description. And yeah, let's just jump into it and see what they do first of all with the wall building. And one thing you can see right away is there is no grid on the ground as you are used to have it on The Sims, for example. There is like a grid. It seems almost like to the bottom left over here you can enable grid, and this seems to be more like a free mode. If I'm not really wrong here, or this is somewhat like furniture. That seems to be like maybe painting, wall painting, and that seems to be the terra painting, or like terraforming, or whatever you want to call it. Really cool stuff, and I'm really looking forward to how this is going to work. But first of all, let's skip forward a little bit here. So what I love a lot is it borrows a lot of assets that you know, for example, from City Skylines. It almost looks like a little bit of the node editor, or like the move it tool from City Skylines, which I'm a big fan of. And you can see it automatically creates the right angle and stuff like that. So it's not really that finicky. It seems to be very intuitive, and you can just drag it out as you want. And while you drag it, let me just go a tiny bit back here. You can see there's an automatic kind of line that indicates where the wall has the perfect alignment to the other one opposite side. So that's pretty cool as well. It indicates how long this piece is. So very intuitive stuff, much of which we do also have in The Sims, but it just kind of feels a little bit more intuitive, easy to do, and yeah, just very simple indeed. So that's really cool. And you can tell from this over here, well, let me just pause it again here. That is the coolest bit ever. Like how easy you can build a roundish wall. You just drag it out, and then just like in City Skylines, it almost seems like you press a button and then you just drag it over and it automatically curves over here. That's looking pretty simple, and I'm a big fan of curved buildings. You know, people love to build like castles, and I can already tell like many people will build like Hogwarts and stuff like that. So this comes in very handy to make it really simple, and boom, you can see the segment popping down. Very neat little effect. I think it really gives you this wonderful feeling of, for example, I had this feeling of Sims 1 or even 2, where this is like the cozy little feeling of a very relaxed house building, and this is so cool. And now over here, this is the great stuff, you know, how simple you can move the stuff forward and back, make the whole thing higher or lower, and in a couple of seconds we are going to see actually something really cool, like really cool. I remember I remember watching a stream of Richella, who was playing with the new steps in The Sims, which is I think half a year ago or something, where they introduced like half steps and stuff like that. And now you can see this is how it works in Paralives. They just drag up this floor of, well, let me just go back a little bit so you can see that a bit more precise. So here you can see they grab the room, and it indicates that this is the room that has, well, let's say, which is kind of closed off by solid walls, and you do have this opening here, so that's why it takes both of these. And then you just drag the ground up a little bit. You can do it whatever you want in certain steps, it seems, and then you just delete that wall over here, and it tells you by the indicator very easily over here. This is something I really love. So you can delete the whole wall, but you can also say just delete it with the step in here, and this is what they click. There you go. And then you have this very perfect step, and both rooms are connected with this step in. This is how easy it can be, and I think this looks, I mean, okay, everything I say is only from looking at this video, okay? So I'm really not sure if this is really exactly like this when you play, but it really, oops, I just hit my microphone again. I don't know if it really plays out the exact same way in the game. when you play it yourself, but it looks really damn sweet. So over here, I missed actually when they did this. I think, is it in a time lapse or is it just happened somewhere? I think no, they did a little cut. That's a bit unfortunate. I would have loved to see how that worked out, but you can see there is now this insanely nice looking little staircase over here where you can even go and select the individual little step. It doesn't really matter how exactly they did it, but the good thing is we know they can do it. So really cool done. And we will also talk a little bit about the art style of this game later on in this video. I want to take my time first of all to look into the building. I have certain things to say about the art style of this thing, or of this build. By the way, this is also brilliant over here, and one thing that many people rage about, including me, is the fact that how textures sometimes do not go into the right direction, and this just kind of looks kind of shabby when you don't want to have it in this direction. And it's super cool that you can actually change the tiling, and it almost looks like you can change the tiling not only in 90 degrees, but also, I mean, they just click it now, but you can see the slider down here, right? The slider kind of indicates that this is kind of a 360 potential rotating that you can do, which is pretty sweet. I mean, you can then, I would actually technically align that with this this edge over here, so that, you know, I would also just realign that one so that looks a little better. We do actually need that kind of metal railing or kind of stuff that you would put on the floor. I don't know if the game has it, but these kind of things, I think this is the level of detail we can already expect from a game in 2021. But whatever, this is something we talk about later. And now we come to the real deal, guys. This is the real deal. Now, here we go. This is the stuff we already knew from showcases that Paralives did, but I want to stress that a little bit more in detail here. The thing why I truly believe that this is the biggest strength of this game already, that you have the ability to scale certain objects by default. That means you don't need to take a 1 meter window, 2 meter window, 3 meter window. You just get one type of window, which has a, let's say, metal frame. And then you can use that window in all kind of dimensions you can imagine. And this is how it is in real life. If you buy a window from a certain brand, you decide whether you want to have like plastic, you want to have like metal, you want to have like wood framing, and then you take it in the, you know, in the size you want. And this is how it works. And it's so cool. You can actually align that perfectly with the wall here, make it kind of a completely wall tall, you know, window. You can copy paste, which is also pretty neat. I mean, we can do this in The Sims as well. You know, don't let me drag The Sims down too much here. I just do this comparison because it's legit the only game that is somewhat comparable. But you can really tell, like, this is the copy paste button over here. I truly hope that there is a shortcut for that. Shortcuts are life. Shortcuts are the best thing ever. So we need that as well. One thing I just want to show you quite a little bit here as well is, hopefully I can show it to you by moving just one frame forward or two. So you can see now, as they do align this, you can see there is this line popping up here, which tells you that it is aligned. These kind of snapping things are really, I think they are really important, and potentially most important in such a thing like that, because you tend to, at least me in The Sims, I have the problem. I use a couple of times I use the free move tool, because, you know, otherwise you have these insanely big increment steps that, you know, you can't really do much about. Yeah, you can lower the increments, but it's still not perfectly fine. And sometimes, as you want to move things around, you just don't have a snappy grid or something. You have some workarounds, but this seems to be very intuitive, and then you place that down and boom, there you go. Now, the same thing works with other pieces as well. You can put down doors wherever you want. I don't know if it doesn't really make too much sense to frame doors in different sizes, but windows do make sense. So I'm totally fine if they wouldn't do it with doors, because doors have a certain size in the world for a reason. Are they actually normed in every country? I at least know that they have a norm in Germany, but not really sure. But you can see it's really neat how you can put all these things down. Search function is something I die for. Search functions are the best, because I'm a lazy person and I need my pieces and I need to find them. And yeah, you can see this thing over here, like this simple drag. Oh boy, this is so good. God, I don't know. It's the best thing ever. It's so simple, it's so intuitive. You just put it down, drag it up and down, easy peasy, there you go. You don't need that many things. You just have a pillar, you can make it longer or shorter. Done. And I think one of the major advantages of a system like that is not only that it gives a lot of creativity and freedom. No, we also have a color wheel. I mean, this is great, but let's talk about that in a second. I just want to finish the first point here. The big advantage of a rescaling tool is, I know it takes a little bit more processing power. It definitely is a little bit more stressful when it comes to making textures that look good, because textures have to scale accordingly and not just get stretched, because if they get stretched, that looks pretty awkward and bad. And so you need to have a certain system which has a seamless texture that just enlarges and scales with the scaling that you do. But however, if you do this, that allows you to do a few things. And one is the menu will be a lot cleaner. You don't have 25 different windows of that type to cover all potential sizes, and you have to search the right one from the finicky little thumbnail. No, you also have the big advantage that you just need that one window, and you can size that to the size you want. And as we creative players, we can then drop our things, make 2, 4, 6, 8 variants of it, put them aside. You can take drop and drag them into your kind of building box and then take them out, build. It kind of increases the speed of building dramatically because you have the stuff at hand and you don't need to search all the time. And it's just like very much a big improvement, as I said, for the item draw, because then you will find things a lot more quick because it's just cleaner and gives you the ability to add more later on, which is great. And then now let's talk about the color wheel. Yeah. I don't want to discuss too much about this, because that's maybe the biggest criticism I have about The Sims 4. I still don't get why we don't have a color wheel for everything, why it is still so painful to actually align colors with different pieces you have in the flat. It's sometimes just I don't know, it's pain when you just want to align certain things and then the color just doesn't match and you can't choose a fitting color for that. And let's not even talk about the two colors in one asset thing. Okay, yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's continue better off here with the color wheel, which is great. You can add that to your existing palette, which is also a neat little thing, because as great as it is to have a custom color, it is also very much needed to have your go-to colors very quickly accessible, which with the reduced palette is very good. Now over here you can see many things just work, and as I told you, this is very neat over here how the texture reacted to that. Now in the middle you have like a little bit of a blind spot right now, but this still looks a lot better than if this would just stretch out and these things become way more thick. So they do have kind of a texture method in which it does work that way. Now here you can see there are different color options, but again you would have the option to add your own color, so you can save that palette and you still have that one. Also the same things over here for the images, and I love the fact how the image, let me just go back a little bit here, so you can see there is this blue bit in the background, which is basically to show you how you have the frame, like different options of the framing is pretty neat. Again, the same system applies here. You just have one frame, but you can do various things with them. I forgot how this is actually called in the background, but doesn't matter that much. You can choose the color of what you want, and this image that you have in the middle, and I think if I'm not wrong you could actually even load in your own image there, which is pretty damn impressive. So very cool. Put down some shoes over here. I love the little detail. And yeah, you can see drop and drag, easy peasy. It gives you the ability to put, oh yeah, that was it. This seems to be, you can choose the images, which again is a very clever thing to do, because it yet changes the way how you drag and drop pieces in, and you don't need to search all of that from the menu. So that is really dang cool. You can reframe things, it scales with it, you can scale it per hand later on to make it look better, and yeah, it's just very intuitive and fast, building made simple and fast. This is simply very neat. The menu on the left hand side is pretty much work in progress, I guess. Also so nice that you can drag down the chimney thingy over here very neatly. I love the fact how you do that. And then yeah, yet again you have some wooden stuff over here. So this is kind of a bit nice and stuff that's going on here. A lot of placement of different items, very nice. I don't want to talk too much about this because this is everything is just kind of the same. I want to talk a little bit more about now the kitchen furniture, because that is something again that The Sims had some issues, especially with placing things in corners and have weird shading, which goes into the art style, which I talk about, as I said, at the end of the video. So if you are interested about my opinion on this very specific art style of this game and what my opinion on how it is good or not is, let me know later on. Also, here you go. Oh my god, this is too fast. I was too fast. Let me just Let me go back a little. Look at this. Look at this. This is so great. I want to just show you what happens. There is this little edit, right? And then I think there is something missing right now. This potentially is why they did this as a speed build. But you can see, it seems that this item has different variants to it. And yet again, I can't stress this enough. This is in a way how a design of a game or a menu or whatever works, it has to be consistent. And I know that a lot of people in communities are most likely pissed when the consistency is not available. And this game seems to have a very, very good consistency when it comes to customizability of items. So you always have the same method. You have a basic piece, and this, in this case, is a kitchen piece, let's say from one set. This could be a, I don't know, modern classic set mixture. And in this set, you have different variants. You can choose that one as a half, I'm not sure if this is, but I would assume it is a half block, a full block, or a half block with an extended kind of plate and side pot or whatever this is. And now you can choose that and even the side of which it is used for. And then you can see you can create something very modern like that. You see that in a lot of modern kitchens, that you have these overhanging plates in which you can work on, and then you can actually, what they do now, you can use this wonderful stool over here and then just use it. Now, fast forward, as you can see from the game, the next major great thing are the lamps. You know, you copy paste them, and now this over here had me like, wow. Like when I saw this the first time, I was just smiling over my whole face, because that is so cool, isn't it? You just have these hanging lights, and again, you've got one piece, and you can create a million different variations out of it by the simple fact that you can drag it down. And now again, if you think about that a little bit more in detail, it is not just dragging down. If you would drag that down, what happens if you don't put a little bit of thought into it? What happens if that the whole lamppost will scale down, okay? So, or the whole lamp will scale down, and then you would have this orangey cylinder over here just extend and get longer. But what that does over here, you drag it down, but the cylinder itself stays the same size, and that is really cool, because that's how it would be in real life. You know, you drag it down, the cable gets longer, done. Easy. And these are the little details which I think are really good to see that they have already have this system in place, which just encourages me to think that this is a really, really solid state already of the game, even though they had this very neat little message at the beginning. So yeah, here you can see now pretty much, it is a speed build of house building, which you guys are most likely very used to from The Sims and The Sims 4, The Sims 3 and whatever. So really, really cool. I really do like how this turns out. A lot of little details are already in the game. I don't want to judge how many pieces we have already in this game yet, because again, it is a work in progress. You don't know exactly how this will be when the game is going to be released. I mean, we don't even know when exactly that will be, but it is just very, very good to see that we have already a lot of stuff. And again, the system, how this game is created with the, you know, editable things like over here. Look at that. I mean, just come on. This is just how it should work. Let me go back to the bed. This is not just you have the bed and it's going to be extended. No, the system also knows after a certain dimension, it has to get 2 pillows on rather than just one. And if you look closely to the back side of the bed, it also scales accordingly and just doesn't just only get dragged out. It just looks really good how it should be. So really, really cool stuff. And I mean, this is just something I am very happy about, to see how easy it goes, and, you know, just putting an extra pillow on and all these kind of little details are what makes this game already look very promising. You know, at least, and this is, again, I can't stress that enough, it's all about the building mode here. We haven't seen how this all works together with building. We haven't seen how people move in a building like that, how the collision works, because all these things, the more customizability in pieces you have, the higher the risk that this is going to create some bad situations with people moving around. When I built the last time in The Sims 4, and I created a lot of custom stuff, you know, using some mods to do things that are not meant to be done, yeah, it just created a lot of confusion, and my Sims could not really move in the house at all. So we have to see how that works with all these custom things here, with scalability and all these kind of things. Also, raising stones up and down I mean, people who know me from a Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster know that I love to just put my stuff into the ground, to just use that very top piece to create something. My heart just bumped a little bit higher here because, oh my god, this is just so damn good that you can do this as well in here as well. You could even use trees as bushes, bushes as foliage, whatever you want. I mean, this is so damn cool. And again, this is consistency we were talking about. It just kind of gives you that feeling that they have this really, really well thought out. The only thing I haven't seen here is there is no window on a rounded face so far. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because again, we haven't seen that yet, and it is very important, I guess, to understand if it is possible or not. But I love this little house. It has a very specific size, style. I wanted to say size as well, but style. I think this is something where I could, you know, feel comfortable in. It's kind of a mixture of a modern and classic style. It has a lot of warmth in it, coziness. It looks really cool, and yeah, that's just show off, okay? So this thing at the end, this is just show off. When they drop the roof on, I mean, potentially there's a reason why they haven't shown how this is done, because if you consider this built in Sims, if I see this built in The Sims 4, I would have already a headache, because making a roof that looks nice on this weird kind of edge over here, so I don't know which angle that is even, and then round it off over here, you've got an edge here, you've got an edge here, you've got an edge here. It's kind of complicated to bring a roof on top of that one, and now boom, they just do something like that, and it just looks really cool. And I'm not sure how you exactly built this, but seeing how they did this in the entire system, it just leaves me with the idea that this could be pretty simple and intuitive too, with just dragging and dropping and just, you know, dragging the things to the corners, having snapping on, and just kind of automatically aligning to the walls that you set down to the lower part of the house. Anyways, as promised, we will talk now a little bit about the art style. I'll go back a little bit to one of the shots in the house, and this is, I think that one over here is the perfect spot to stay in. Also, I love this little apple apple rip-off thing. Is that like kind of, what is that even? Doesn't look like an apple, it looks like another kind of fruit, whatever fruit that is, whatever. I am extremely happy about the way they choose the art style, and here's why. The way how they make the building work with stretching textures, with everything is scalable and so on, becomes insanely complicated when you go with a high realism look. The reason why is that, you know, the more you scale things and the more you use seamless textures in a, let's say, very realistic graphics, it creates the problem that it becomes way too good looking and way too perfect looking. We are not used to see things that look perfect in the real world. It has scratches, there are some darker and brighter spots, and there's some dirt on stuff, and you know, things are not looking perfect. I think this is the biggest mistake that many people do in 3D rendering. They do everything like inch perfect, you know, every texture is perfect, everything is clean. That's not what we used to see, you know. Just imagine a house that's been built. Even after a couple of days, two days of rain, 1 day of heat, and the house already doesn't look like perfectly fine anymore. So this is why you get a lot of problems, especially if you are an indie developer or like a new game. You become very easy to be attacked, let's put it that way, by many people if you try to do that. It just can look very shabby really quickly. So the only way to achieve something like this is by going into an art style that allows to use some, let's say, more art styley textures and stuff. And this way it doesn't really weight too heavy if you have things scaled crazily. Now, we have seen a lot of examples. We have seen how this works here with the pictures in the background. We've seen how that works with the table. Now imagine this table over here on the right hand side. Imagine this being a very high detailed wooden texture. Now, if this texture has to be scaled out, you know, you become it becomes very hard to have the right texture to make that look good, because the bigger it gets, how exactly would the wooden pattern look, the bigger it gets, would it change in terms of how big it is. If you only scale it size-wise, a previously great looking texture might look very stretched and ugly because it's just way too big, or it looks out of place because it's too zoomed in. You know, if you see wood, you need to go close to see the pattern on it. When you're far away, you have a bit more washed out wooden color, and this is something that the game would need to consider. It is, first of all, an insanely heavy thing to calculate for your computer, which would make the performance absolutely garbage on most systems. And then the next thing about this is, how would you even implement that with, like, let's say FlexiColor? You know, people want to be able to color everything, but if you have a very nice wooden texture, to stick with that example, it would look super awkward if you make it too yellow or like too less saturated or whatever, because it doesn't fit to the type of wood. If you go with an art style like that, it doesn't really weigh that much, it doesn't really create that awkward looking anyways. So in itself, I'm very happy that they choose the way they choose to go with this very art style approach. And I think, and this is, if you go with a style like that, it could really look very weird quickly if you are not, and you know, it's kind of a pattern I have in this video, if it isn't coherent and if they don't pay attention to make it all look the same way. And from what we've seen so far, I think they're very coherent. I think they really know exactly how it should look and where they want to go, which I think is brilliant, and we really have to see how that looks in game. And I think once you have that, and one thing I really figured they have also is a very strong lighting and shading in here. I remember this one example in the little gallery build they had, one of the first interiors we saw. The lighting looked absolutely magnificent. So this is another thing. You can actually gain back a lot of realism and a lot of nice appeal to an image with the great shading on top of this art style. So all in all, I am extremely happy that they chose the way. I know a lot of people want to see more realistic approach of things. I'm quite sure that a game like that potentially is moddable, and in the end we see a lot of high-res textures. If that goes together with the game or not, I don't know. Honestly, no idea yet, but sometimes you're surprised what people can do, what they're capable of. At least I am not really sure if that makes sense at this point in time, but what I do know is that I'm extremely hyped about this game. It looks phenomenal, and it just really makes me want to play this yesterday. You know, I'm really looking forward to this game. It is something I'm missing from The Sims, and this whole thing looks like it gives me what I am missing from The Sims 4. And honestly, the other thing is, give it to us, bring it out, be good, because that would challenge EA to be even better with The Sims 5, and competition is always the best for the communities, because that brings us the best game possible. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little analysis of the gameplay. I hope you guys also, like a building example, I hope you guys are also as excited as I am for this game, because it really looks promising. If you are, well, please give it a like. This video is amazing to create. I really had a blast doing that. And also, if you guys want to see more of Paralives in the future, and potentially also a coverage of the next Sims DLC, which I find very interesting, so maybe I get my hands on that one, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and also leave a like, leave a comment what you think about this game. Are you excited for Paralives? What is your big hope for, and maybe what is your hope that this game does that The Sims 4 doesn't offer? So thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, everyone. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.